welcome to the Becker County Historical Society Museum's Roadshow. Today we are at the United Methodist Church with Jean Fredine, the resident historian for the church. And we're going to be talking about the different buildings they've been in, but more particularly about the one they were in the longest, which is now housed by the Berean Baptist. So today we are going to find out all about the history of the United Methodist Church in Detroit Lakes and their buildings. You moved, or you, I don't know if it was you, but the church moved out of the old building on Frazee and Lake when?
It was January 1972 that they held their last service.
Their last service. And they have been over here on Corbett Road since then.
Right.
Okay, tell us, let's talk a little bit about the old Berean church. It's making such history right now as it's being thought of being demolished. When was that built?
That was built in 1908.
1908. It's such an unusual structure, isn't it?
Yes, but it looks a lot like a lot of the Methodist churches, because it looks like my old Methodist church that I used to go to. It
has that tower kind of, you know.
Yes.
People refer to it sometimes as the castle.
Yes, yes. And also it's a nice belfry for the
pigeons.
Pigeons.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
And when I walked into that church, I was amazed that the windows looked so much like the ones that I left behind in Indiana.
Is that right? Do you suppose they had one plan?
I don't know. Now, we had a spire instead of a tower like that, but otherwise it all looks the same inside.
That's very interesting. Now, the Methodists came to Detroit Lakes at what time?
They organized their church in 1873.
Okay. First, I understand just the things I've read. First, there was probably the Baptist and the Congregational and the Episcopal.
Right.
And in some of the history books, it said that the first one was formed by, who was the pastor? He was called Father.
Gurley.
Gurley. And came with the Northern Pacific Railroad.
Right, and he was a traveling minister.
And that was the history of the Methodist Church. I didn't realize that until I visited museums out west, that they had chapel cars and so forth and came out and formed congregations. Interesting, very interesting. The first church was built where?
The first church was on 807 Washington, which was very close to the corner of Frazee and, was it Lake and Frazee?
Well, it was on Washington, so.
But it was on Washington.
Washington Avenue.
And then they, after they built the church, they built a parsonage very close in 1897 or so at 1016 Washington. Okay. Which was where the rectory now stands, the Catholic rectory.
Oh, sure. Sure, right over there. Yeah, and this was a wooden building.
Yes.
And I understand they soon outgrew it.
Yes, it was quite small. If you ever went into that corner building and those others, they're very narrow.
Okay.
And this one did have windows that were arched, so it looked like a church on the front, but behind it they had a big woodpile lot.
Sure. Sure.
And they held all their different things in this one little building with a little heater stove.
Yeah. I think I read someplace they were concerned about the chimney going through, went right through it, and at Christmas time, what are they going to do with the Christmas tree and the chimney and all the rest? Burn the church down. But the church did burn.
Yes, after this, they sold it to J.C. Nunn, and he was one of the members of the church, and he had it till 1914, I think it was, and then there was a fire and burned it. And he ran a funeral parlor and a furniture store.
And a furniture store. And that was also another interesting thing because that's what they did. They had both, funeral homes and furniture stores. Okay, but they built another church. Did they build that? Was that when they built? When they sold that, then they built this one?
When they sold that, then they built the new one in 1908.
Now the thing I am very interested in is how they got the bricks, but I don't think we're going to have time to do that. We'll have to come back next week, and we will be back to interview you and talk with you about the rest of the history of the church.
Okay.
So come back and join us for some more history.